The underground economy has long been a part of rural America, where some receiving disability benefits are forced to work to survive. Mallory, West Virginia. For the people of the Hollow, opportunity begins where the road ends, and that was where they now went, driving onto a dirt path that vanished into forest. It was here that they came at the end of the month, when the disability checks were long gone, and the next were still days away, and the only option left was also one of the worst. The goal was simple. Get to the top of the mountain. Collect as many wild roots as possible to sell to a local buyer. Avoid the copperheads and rattlesnakes. Descend before the rains came again and flooded their way out. Disabled America. Between 1996 and 2015, the number of working-age adults receiving federal disability payments increased significantly across the country per Census 2014, but nowhere more so than in rural America. In this series, The Washington Post explores how disability is shaping the culture, economy and politics of these small communities. Part 1, Disabled, or just desperate? Rural Americans turn to disability as jobs dry up. Part 2, Generations, Disabled One Family. 4 generations of disability benefits. Will it continue? Part 3, Disabled and Disdained, how disability benefits divided this rural community between those who work and those who don't. Part 4, I am a hard worker. Some say people on disability just need to get back to work. It's not that easy. Above, Bobby Dempsey, carrying a pickaxe and a plastic bag, ventures up the mountain above his home on foot in search of roots to sell. The road was impassable for vehicles, because of fallen trees. My doctor gets on me all the time getting out here and doing stuff like this, said Donna Jean Dempsey, 51, who had quintuple bypass surgery in 2011, as she gripped the passenger side handle inside the truck. But what alternative was there? Her $735 disability check was the only steady money she and her brother Bobby Dempsey, who was driving, had coming in, and it was never enough. She didn't have running water. She didn't have furniture. For 7 days in a row, she had worn the same gray flannel shirt and ripped jeans, muddy from the mountains. You can't just sit still, she told Bobby, 52. You got to keep going, he replied. And where they were going was deep into the underground American economy, where researchers know some people receiving disability benefits are forced to work illegally after the checks are spent, because they can't hold a regular job, because no one will hire them, because disability payments on average amount to less than minimum wage, sometimes much less, and because it's hard to live on so little. The underground economy has long been a part of rural America, but it has become vital in counties such as this one, deprived of the once dominant coal industry, and redefined by a decades-long swell in the nation's disability rolls, that, in its aftermath, has left more than 1 in 5 working-age residents in Logan County on Social Security disability insurance, which serves disabled workers, or supplemental security income for the disabled poor. Donna Jean Dempsey spends time with her dogs, Coco, Left, and Rowdy, at her home, a rented shed the size of a one-car garage, that her rental company describes as a lofted playhouse. She has 2 mattresses, a hot plate for cooking and an unconnected toilet that she'd like to hook up to a sewer line if she ever has the money. Some who enter this realm assume one risk, working illegally, to avoid others. Every reported dollar beyond a small amount can result in a reduced disability check, or, worse, no check at all. The government awards benefits with the understanding that recipients can work only very little, or not at all, and that reporting too much in earnings can lead to being cut off. There is this theme of people being crooks, but it's genuinely people trying to find a way to patch together a living when they have very little income, said Neil Duncan, one of the nation's leading rural sociologists. It's not a moral issue. It's a getting by issue. In West Virginia, getting by means digging roots in the mountains. Brent Bailey, a former assistant research professor at West Virginia University who has studied the root trade, calls it a social safety net that people relied on when Plan A fell apart. Most of this is Plan B, he said, after you've lost your job, or your disability check has dried up. For Donna Jean, who watched Bobby steer his truck above the forest canopy, and through low-hanging mist, it was time again for Plan B. "We'll park right here and see what we can find," Bobby said, pulling over beside a fallen tree and killing the engine. Donna Jean stepped out and looked up. Dark clouds were moving in from a nearby mountain. She lit a home-rolled cigarette, and, getting to work with a mattock, tried to ignore the weather. She had lately been telling herself that she had to stop taking